Folks, welcome into another episode of That Betting Show. It's August 16, 2019, your one-stop shop for all your sports betting needs. We got a pretty good show intact for you today. He's Teddy Sabranci. Give him a follow on Twitter at Teddy_covers. I'm Donnie Seymour, right side VP. Kyler Murray, Teddy, struggling out there in Arizona in his second go-round versus the Oakland Raiders. But also we have a walk-em-off in Philadelphia. Let's get right to the Friday hot topics here. Bullpen explosion in Philadelphia. I'm a Phillies fan, Teddy. I watched the game all the way through. They couldn't touch Yu Darvish last night. Throws 92 pitches. They pull him out. But you're thinking, all right, it's a 5-run lead. We got our bullpen behind us. The Phillies scratch out 1 run in the 8th inning, and all hell breaks loose in the 9th. And you need a couple breaks to make it happen. You need an error. You need a couple balls that just get through the infield of some seeing-eye singles. And you need the walk-off heroics for the Philadelphia Phillies and Bryce Harper. For one night in Philadelphia, all was right, Teddy.
Sure, exactly. For one night, Bryce Harper's contract is worth it. Enjoy it, Philadelphia. I don't know how many more nights it's going to be worth it like it was last night. But, you know, when you look at that minus 500 to make the playoffs for the Cubs right now, and you remember the Madden quote. We gave you a good Joe Madden quote on yesterday's show talking about, you know, other teams have gotten better. We've got a huge target on our backs after 4 straight years of playoff appearances. If you read between the lines of that quote, Madden, not as confident as he's been in recent years. Minus 500 to make the playoffs? Not with my money and not with a team right now that's finding ways to lose, and in particular, finding ways to lose on the highway.
It's kind of interesting, too, Teddy, because we pointed to it yesterday. The Cubs struggle to win on the road. Now they're going, again, road in a division rivalry. Look, the Pittsburgh Pirates aren't the end-all, be-all team, but it's still a road game where the Cubs have struggled. Take a look at that minus 500, which is still actually available today as we're filming on DraftKings. Is that something to say, Teddy, where they're taking a look at the end of the regular season and saying, you know what, the road might be a little bit tougher for a la maybe the St. Louis Cardinals to make it in? What would be the reasoning why that's still so strong, even though technically they're in the wild card spot and only 1 game out of the playoffs?
Well, remember, when it comes to future book prices and why they vary so much from sportsbook to sportsbook is because they're going to reflect the action that particular sportsbook has taken. Chicago Cubs fans are nationwide. There is a big bandwagon for Chicago teams. Well, there's the Bears, the Cubs, the Blackhawks, not so much the Bulls these days, but those teams tend to take more future money than other teams. And, of course, this isn't a yes-no prop. It's just, will they make the playoffs? So that's why you see a line like minus 500. If there was a yes-no prop, I'd be running to the window to get to the no on the Cubs. They are not 5-1 chalk to make the postseason, in this bettor's opinion.
Teddy dropping that knowledge right here on That Betting Show. We're going to take a little bit of a whirl around Major League Baseball, as you saw yesterday, home run derby. And how about getting to the Bronx in that little bandbox ballpark? The Cleveland Indians set off a total. I think Cleveland got 7 home runs themselves, but 10 home runs total. And then looking a little bit later on the West Coast there, Teddy, 13 runs scored in the Oakland game, 10 home runs hit in that ballpark. Is there any ideas if that ball might be juiced or not? I think those things certainly are coming to rest at this point. The Mets also end their losing streak to the Atlanta Braves, and the Twins pound the Rangers 13-6, holding that half-game lead. It's going to be a fun run throughout the rest of August, but that ball, Teddy, it's being launched.
It sure is. And, of course, when you see 10 home runs in Oakland, it's not like seeing 10 home runs in Colorado or 10 home runs in Baltimore or 10 home runs in Texas. It's not, you know, the ball doesn't carry quite the same way on the West Coast, although the heat wave has certainly affected how the ball is carrying. Note that if you're betting West Coast totals in MLB action right now. Big win for the Mets. Of course, their bullpen almost gave it up. They tried really hard. It's funny, all 3 of the NL East contenders reinforced their bullpens at the trading deadline, and all 3 teams still have bullpen vulnerability. So that's certainly a concern, but big win for the Mets. They needed that one. After they'd been cooled off in Atlanta. And a nice bounce back for Minnesota. They had a rough week against the Indians and the Brewers. Big win yesterday. The Astros suddenly looking human of late. Houston, big chalk every day. Just 1-4 in their last 5 ball games.
Yeah, we'll see how they rebound tonight, also playing on the West Coast again with Oakland. We're going to take a little bit of a trip around NFL training camp, which, again, most teams are playing games, so we're going to use this more of a game synopsis here. Kyler Murray goes 3 of 8 for 12 yards. Teddy, looking a little bit of a college offense out there that wasn't getting it done versus the Oakland Raiders' first-string defense, but it ends up 33-26. But let's not forget in that football game, Teddy, it was a 26-0 lead at one point for those Oakland Raiders. And how about this one last night? Because we talk so much about lines, especially the way they move in the preseason, Teddy. How about if you settled in on the Green Bay Packers. When we talked yesterday, that line hovering around -5 for the Ravens dips down to around 3, and 30 minutes before kickoff, Aaron Rodgers is out, and no doubt about it, those Ravens took care of business and won yet another preseason game. Matt Ryan certainly looked sharp for the Falcons in his debut in the preseason, but again, another loss on the board for those Falcons in the preseason action. The Eagles, who I actually took an in-game wager yesterday, Teddy, the minute that Cody Kessler went down, figuring I'm going to get 4 quarters of Clayton Thorson and the Eagles in a dumbed-down offense saying, we don't even have another quarterback on our roster to play. He ends up playing well, and the Philadelphia Eagles walk away with a victory over those Jacksonville Jaguars.
All right, well, let's start with the headline. The headline is Kyler Murray struggled. Yes, Kyler Murray struggled, but for the second straight week, it's nothing to do with Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray had no time. The Arizona offensive line, first stringers versus first stringers, seen them twice now, and they have been inept is the only word that I can use. Kyler Murray, there was no chance last night. As bad this week as they were last week, and started the first string defense was as bad this week as they were in week 1 against the Chargers. Of course, Arizona tried to win the game. I was kicking myself. It's 26-0. I'm like, I really should have had Oakland in my pocket last night, but I knew that Arizona wanted to win the game, and we saw that in the second half. They rallied back and made things interesting. They were just too far down early, so at least I was justified in some sense in not betting Arizona, even though I was ready to punch myself in the face when I saw that first score. As soon as it was 7-0, I knew that Arizona was in trouble. The Falcons, and look, if you did the KISS strategy last night, bet against the coach that always loses, and Dan Quinn, and bet on the coach that always wins, and Harbaugh, easy. 2 winners. The Falcons, boy, I mean, they dropped 2 touchdown passes. They were -3 in turnovers, including a pick 6. They just didn't execute well. They were the better team on the field. They outgained the Jets by 150 yards, but didn't happen for Atlanta in terms of getting into the end zone. And that last pick 6 killed any chances. And the Ravens blowout over Green Bay, or comfortable win over Green Bay. The Lamar Jackson highlight reel run. I'm sure you saw the highlights of that.
Yep.
That play doesn't happen in the regular season. Green Bay with backup defenders taking bad angles. One would think they'll game plan a little bit more for Lamar Jackson come September than they have in October. And Philly got the win yesterday in Jacksonville, 2 teams that did not care. But the Eagles now, basically with Clayton Thorson as their QB, Colin Kaepernick's out there. I can't think of a quarterback who would be better than him as a backup in Philadelphia. Maybe. Just saying.
We'll see what happens. It's always going to be interesting here. But yes, Teddy referenced the KISS there, which is keep it simple, stupid. Don't outsmart yourself out there. If it looks too good to be true, sometimes it is too good and still wins the football game anyway. So yesterday, if you're just riding that wave of taking the Baltimore Ravens, congratulations. You are cashing some tickets out here. Let's get to some overnight line movers here on a Friday. SBRodds.com, the best place on the internet to get these line moves. And we do have some line movements for and against the Philadelphia Phillies just this morning. A little bit of momentum maybe pushing this line around. Vince Velasquez takes the mound against a very talented youngster in Chris Paddock for the San Diego Padres. When we take a look at this number, it actually opened, Teddy, offshore as a favorite at SBR odds, with the San Diego Padres being the favorite. Flip back over the Phillies, got as high as -126, but now we're seeing that settle in to around a -110, -111 across the board. The Phillies are hot. The Phillies are ready to go. But as we said, momentum doesn't carry only so far to that next day starting pitcher, Velasquez versus Paddock here, Teddy.
Yeah, so the initial line move, I believe, was based on Fernando Tatis Jr., who's been a monster for San Diego this season. 317, 22 home runs, 53 RBIs, 16 stolen bases. But he's got a sore back. Andy Green, quote, sometime with backs you just don't know. You're always crossing your fingers and hoping. He's obviously been a huge part of everything we've done this year. The initial reports were that Tatis isn't going to play and could end up on the injured list as early as today. So that's certainly a piece of the equation. And Paddock's been pretty good, you're right. On the other hand, Vasquez only allowed 7 runs in 22.2 innings of work over his last 4 starts. He's not eating innings, but he's not getting bombed. The market's respecting Vasquez a little bit more right now, especially with Tatis bet not likely to be in the lineup for San Diego.
Going old school with the Diamondbacks. How about this? Mike Leake backers, Teddy, pushing that Diamondbacks line higher. Offshore markets open up around 113, now sitting the high 130s as we take a look. The Samardzija Shark has been pretty good as of late as well. Mike Leake, outside of Seattle, usually doesn't fare that well. Didn't fare too well in his home opening debut with the Diamondbacks, but seemingly getting the money. Total of 9 tonight with Samardzija and Leake.
Yeah, I mean, the Giants were 11 games under 500 when Somber took the mound on the 1st of July. They just tied the D-backs 61 and 61, two teams that are both at 500 right now with the victory last night. But what are the markets seeing? Well, there's two things they're seeing. One is that Leake's been lit up. I mean, absolutely lit up with his 2 first starts in Arizona. They're not expecting that to go on forever. He's allowed, 21 hits and 3 walks and 10.1 innings of work, giving up, 10 earned runs during that span. And, of course, Arizona was a no-show last night. Torey Lovullo after the game, quote, "I really don't know what to say about this game. Sometimes things happen on a baseball field that leave you scratching your head. I thought we were playing good baseball, and we are playing good baseball, with the exception of today's game. I don't want to take anything away from the game planning the Giants did, but we just didn't play up to our capabilities today. Markets expecting a bounce back for both the D-backs lineup and Mike Leake in betting action tonight."
Getting over to the gridiron once again on Friday night. Preseason game, Teddy, on the move. Those Panthers open up -3. The Carolina Panthers open up -3. Got a little tongue twisted there versus the Buffalo Bills. That line now down 1.5, depending on where you're shopping at here at SBRodds.com. A total currently sitting at 40. Cam Newton, should we get to see a little bit of his new throwing motion tonight, Teddy? But obviously, these are games that are wagered and won on the backups. Tonight, line on the move, Panthers and Bills.
Sure. Now, we saw the Road Dogs win 4 out of 5 last night. And in general, in the preseason, if you're doing nothing but betting road underdogs, short road underdogs, you'll probably do pretty well over the course of the preseason. But the markets may be responding to that. I think they're really responding more to the QB trio for Carolina and the news out of Buffalo. Carolina, Newton's going to get a cup of coffee today, but it's going to be Taylor Heineke, Kyle Allen, and Will Grier. That is not a bet-on trio. Now, they did fine against the Bears last week. They won that game by double digits, but we'll talk about it a little bit later. The Bears don't care a whole lot about preseason either. And the Bills' defense was the dominant unit last week. There was a lot of concerns about Buffalo's clustery injury problems on offense. That was not on the offensive line. That wasn't an issue in week 1. The markets are saying not going to be an issue in week 2 either, and betting against Ron Rivera as a favorite.
On that betting show here, watch what you bet tonight. We got some football that we want to take a look at, and as Teddy just did a nice little interlude there, the Bears and the Giants going to kick off on Friday night. You know what's interesting about this one, Teddy? As I was writing up the script this morning, we were seeing at SBRodds.com -1s, -1.5s, but now taking a look as we're shooting the show live here, I'm seeing 2.5 showing up, even 3s coming up offshore. The Bears 0-1 this preseason. The Giants 1-0 this preseason. Going to kick it off live. This is a national game on the NFL Network tonight, 7:30 p.m.
So negging the Bears on Wednesday night, which is, 36 hours ago, as we record this, less than 48 hours ago, they played their own game. They rented stadium lights. They had the music playing when they were on the field. DJ turned the volume to 11. They were playing bear down Chicago Bears every time they scored a touchdown. The starting offense and the starting defense each played 60 plays against backups, and it was all scripted by the coaching staff. They ran through a bunch of special team scenarios. Nagy's quote, "They got a lot of reps out here tonight, and I like that they got a lot of reps. Every coach is different. Every player is different. I personally think it's good to add what we're doing for our specific team. There's a lot of coaches out there that want to play their guys a lot in the games, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I don't personally think there's anything wrong if you don't want to play your starters as much as some others." What are we going to read between the lines there? Matt Nagy does not care about this preseason game. That doesn't necessarily mean the Giants are going to win and cover, but the Chicago Bears are not interested. Flat out. They gave up 5 sacks last week. It's going to be mostly the backup QBs again tonight. Obviously, Chase Daniels can play. Giants going to go with all 4 QBs tonight. The reports from Shermer saying he wants more Eli and more Daniel Jones this week. So the Giants likely to have their first stringers out there a fair bit going against Chicago's backups. The market certainly reflecting that with the money coming in on the Bears in early betting action today. Money coming in on the Giants in early betting action today. Sorry.
Not a problem at all. Matt Nagy out here also saying that, Teddy. Mitchell Trubisky, who did play last week, but just did a couple handoffs on his series and then got out of there, said he actually doesn't care if he even throws a pass in any preseason games. So once again, building off your tone there. The Chicago Bears, not too invested, but we'll see how they come out and play. Battle of Florida tonight in Tampa. Teddy, those Dolphins and Buccaneers. Buccaneers favored -3, total of 43.5. We'll see Rosen. We'll see Fitzpatrick. We'll see who's going to work that out. Jameis Winston will get a little bit of action. And also, next week down in Miami, I'll get a live preview in Game 3 between those Jacksonville Jaguars and those Miami Dolphins. 7:30 tonight, NFL Game Pass, Raymond James Stadium, the 1-0 Dolphins and the 0-1 Bucs tonight, Teddy.
Yeah, and I mean, we have Brian Flores coming out and saying that Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to be the starter tonight. Josh Rosen's going to come in behind him, and Rosen may well get some snaps with the first team. Brian Flores didn't say who's leading the competition. All he said is, the expected playing time this evening. Both guys going to get their chance, which, again, when you have a QB competition, that tends to be a good thing for the team that has a QB competition. And, of course, the Bucs did some interesting things last week. They trailed 30-14, and then literally they passed every down. You don't often see in the preseason a team, first of all, they took 84 snaps. And second of all, 62 of those 84 snaps were pass dropbacks. 22 of them were runs. They had a couple of sacks and a QB scramble and 57 pass attempts. That's a lot of passing for August, and that's, Bruce Arians. Though Arians does not have a bet-on track record for this time of the year, dating back to his tenure in Arizona. His quote, with as much practice against, of course, they were doing joint practice, with as much practice against Miami as our ones are getting, I don't think it's necessary probably to play them much in the ball game. Maybe a few more plays than last week. If things go as well as they did early offensively, it's probably the same. Defensively the same, just because the work we're getting this week. If we weren't working together this week, we'd probably play 20 or 25 plays, which means they're going to play less than 20 or 25 plays. That's not what I want out of my favorites, especially against a team that has a legitimate QB battle, Miami or pass, for this better.
Should be a fun weekend here. And since it's Friday, Teddy, we get to skip over and preview a game on Saturday, which looked to be maybe quite the most entertaining game of the week in the NFL. The Chiefs and the Steelers look to entertain on Saturday night. Steelers getting 2.5. Nice little line move, which opened at a pick 'em. Now showing the Kansas City Chiefs -2.5, a total. How about this one, Teddy, in the preseason? 46.5, 7:30 live on the NFL Network from Heinz Field. Kansas City 1-0, Pittsburgh 1-0. Do we get points here, Teddy?
Yeah, 46.5, I'll tell you what, I don't want the under in this game. Andy Reid talked about his plan prior to the start of the preseason. I want to play my starters for a quarter in week 1, for 2 quarters in week 2, for 3 quarters in week 3. Okay, well, here it is, week 2. So the Chiefs, in theory, could be playing their starters for a full half in this ballgame. The market's reflecting that. Behind Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City's offense, Chad Henne, Chase Anon, Shermer, that's a solid bet on QB trio against backup defenders. In Kansas City, look, their offense gave the Bengals fits. Their offense gave the Bengals defense fits for 4 quarters last week, and I wouldn't be surprised if they give Pittsburgh fits this week as well. But Kansas City, bet on team in August? Not really. 2-2 straight up and against the spread each of the last 3 years under Andy Reid. The Steelers, 3-1 straight up and against the spread each of the last 2 years under Mike Tomlin. But my history with Tomlin in August is he often says one thing and then does another, which makes me very reluctant to bet Pittsburgh games based on Mike Tomlin information. And he's, I changed my mind. Oh, this wasn't working, so we tried something else. That's fine. You expect that in the regular season. In August, that concerns me. For Pittsburgh, the QB rotation, we're going to be Mason Rudolph and Josh Dobbs. Rudolph gets the start this week. Tomlin talking about, here's an overquote for you, talking about Rudolph. I think one of the things that really attracted us to him out of Stillwater was that level of aggression, the way he attacked defenses vertically and threw the ball. I know that's his style. It's his demeanor, and it's showing more and more consistently. Yeah, we would expect Pittsburgh to take some deep shots here. Worth noting for the Steelers, they are expected to get Devlin Hodges, the rookie out of Sanford, to get some playing time this week. Don't know how much. If he plays most of the second half, that's probably not good news for overbettors or for Steeler backers.
Somber news on our Off the Mic segment here heading into the weekend, Teddy. Leave the eating to the pros. Why do we say that here? Tragedy strikes in a taco eating competition. Now, we see Joey Chestnut out here, hammering down hot dogs and doing it at an incredible pace, eating chicken wings for 12 hours. Amateur status here in the AAA game. Dana Hutchins passed away on Tuesday, Teddy, during a taco eating contest at the Fresno Grizzlies game. Hutchins was choking and fell and hit his head. Contest took place between innings at the AAA Nationals affiliate. Somber news here, Teddy. Look, we like to eat fast. Sometimes the professionals handle it a little bit better than we do, but tough times out there, Teddy, for these food competitions.
That's a tough way to go, man. Eating tacos like that, you're going to have heartburn throughout the afterlife, wherever you end up. All right. I can't make jokes, but I have to make jokes.
I don't know whether I should laugh or not, Teddy. That's the problem.
It's coming. It's coming for you. It's coming for me. Hopefully it doesn't come today. Hopefully it doesn't come tomorrow. But how's that for a bright note for your weekend? Good times here on That Betting Show.
No, exactly. Look, there's some worse ways to go out there. And me, if you could tell, I am a lover of food, and there are worse ways to go there. So our condolences out there to Dana Hutchins. But maybe passing away, Teddy, doing what he loved the most. We can all hopefully be so happy about that. Thank you for tuning in to That Betting Show, August 16th, 2019. As always, your one-stop shop for all your sports betting needs. You got yourself a big weekend out there of NFL football, Major League Baseball. Teddy and I will be back on Monday to recap every single thing here on That Betting Show. Thanks for tuning in once again. He's Teddy Savransky. Give him a follow on Twitter at Teddy_covers. I'm Donnie Seymour at Right Side VP. Till Monday, enjoy your weekend, folks.